Today marks the first day that the congressional impeachment investigation has gone public, and one of the most important testimonies came from U.S. Ambassador Bill Taylor. Now, previously during closed-door testimony, Bill Taylor did give damning evidence against Donald Trump involving his relationship with the Ukrainian president regarding the holdup of military aid and some of the other problematic actions by Donald Trump and his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, when it came to communicating with Ukraine. Now, with that said, William Taylor shares new information in this public testimony that is incredibly important, so take a look.
Last Friday, a member of my staff told me of events that occurred on July 26th. While Ambassador Volker and I visited the front, this member of my staff accompanied Ambassador Sondland. Ambassador Sondland met with Mr. Yermak. Following that meeting, in the presence of my staff at a restaurant, Ambassador Sondland called President Trump and told him of his meetings in Kyiv. The member of my staff could hear President Trump on the phone asking Ambassador Sondland about the investigations. Ambassador Sondland told President Trump the Ukrainians were ready to move forward. Following the call with President Trump, the member of my staff asked Ambassador Sondland what President Trump thought about Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland responded that President Trump cares more about the investigations of Biden, which Giuliani was pressing for. At the time I gave my deposition on October 22nd, I was not aware of this information. I'm including it here for completeness. As the committee knows, I reported this information through counsel to the State Department's legal advisor, as well as to counsel for both the majority and the minority of this committee. It is my understanding that the committee is following up on this matter.
So I want to just reiterate, this is new information that's being shared. No one knew of this no one in the public knew of this prior to what Taylor said today. And it's important because it really does throw cold water on Donald Trump's claims that he knew nothing about these dealings, that if Rudy Giuliani was making these requests, he was doing it on his own behalf and that Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. But in reality, now you have Bill Taylor saying that one of his staffers overheard Gordon Sondland, the ambassador to the EU, talking with Donald Trump about the investigation that Donald Trump wanted the Ukraine to launch against the Bidens.
So those are the facts. Here's my analysis.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got.
Not yet, but tick, 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 tick. Look, that was bad. That was gonna leave a mark. So none of this is gonna work out for Trump. And see, this shows, look, I don't wanna get too much back into the Democratic politics, but it shows we were right all along. Just do the impeachment. Put him on television. Everybody's gonna spill the tea, and there's a billion gallons of tea to spill about Donald Trump. So if it wasn't this, it was something else. He did 100 things wrong, but on Ukraine, they got him, man. They got him in every direction. So did he know about the investigations? Yes. Did he ask to investigate his political opponent? Yes. Did he withhold the aid? Yes. Did the Ukrainians know? Yes. Good night, Irene. Look, but again, remember the politics of it is, all this will be devastating to Trump's, I believe, poll numbers, okay? Which then has to have a ripple effect to Republican poll numbers. Impeachment's easy in the House, relatively easy. They're Democrats, you never know, okay? But when they go to the Senate for conviction, it's all going to be, if any reporter's telling you otherwise, they don't know anything about politics. It's all going to be based on those Republican senators' poll numbers in their home state that are running for re-election. That will decide whether Trump stays or goes, because the evidence is super clear. He definitely did it.
So the one thing I will say about Democrats, and as you guys know, I'm not usually very flattering toward Democrats. When it came to the Mueller hearings, they had absolutely no strategy. I think that it was a complete and utter disaster. It didn't work out for them. However, when it comes to the hearings in regard to the impeachment strategy, wow. I mean, they are prepared. They know what evidence they have at their disposal. They do a good job in questioning both Bill Taylor and George Kent, the two individuals who testified today. And it seems like there's some cohesion in their efforts here, and that's important. Now, with that said, one of the things that Bill Taylor was reported as saying during the closed door hearings was that he found it incredibly problematic that Donald Trump was holding up the congressionally appropriated military aid for Ukraine. He thought it was crazy. And at one point, the Democratic counsel, his name is Daniel Goldman, asks Bill Taylor about that. Let's take a look.
As I said on the phone, I think it's crazy to withhold security assistance for help with a political campaign.
What did you mean when you said you thought it was crazy?
Ms. Goldman, I meant that because of the importance of security assistance that we had just described and had a conversation with the chairman, because that was so important, that security assistance was so important for Ukraine as well as our own national interest, to withhold that assistance for no good reason other than help with a political campaign made no sense. It was counterproductive to all of what we had been trying to do. It was illogical. It could not be explained. It was crazy.
Also, what Bill Taylor did during this hearing was a good job of differentiating between, let's say, a president making deals with a foreign country based on the best interests of the United States versus, and this is what Trump did, the best interests for his own political campaign. And so his testimony was certainly clear. He did not deviate into any type of opinionated territory. He really did stick to the facts. And I just want to quickly go to this next video because he really drives it home where he mentions what he means by political campaign. Take a look.
When you reference help with a political campaign in this text message, what did you mean?
I meant that the investigation of Burisma and the Bidens was clearly identified by Mr. Giuliani in public for months as a way to get information on the two Bidens.
And that investigation, at the very least, was mentioned by President Trump in the July 25th phone call with President Zelensky. Is that right?
As we now know, yes. Yes, on September 25th, that transcript was released.
Okay, does anyone think that he wasn't asking for an investigation of his political opponents? No one thinks that. Right? Does anybody think he didn't withhold the aid? Well, we know he withheld the aid. Does anybody think those two things are not connected? Nobody thinks that. Of course they're connected, right? Does anybody think it's not a crime? Well, you're not allowed to think that. It's by definition. There's statutes that are involved here. It's definitely a crime. So,
ladies and gentlemen.
Not yet.
You never know. You never know what could happen.
Look, guys, it's going to be one guy after another after another. All the Republicans have, and you'll see it throughout, is squirrel, squirrel. They have nothing about the substance because the substance is damning. Okay, they're in a world of hurt. So all they got is a bucket full of squirrels.
You're right. They have nothing in terms of a defense. And what we talked about on the show earlier about what the GOP strategy is going to be is certainly playing out. You can see how they're using this four-pronged approach of trying to undermine the testimony and essentially paint these Trump administration officials as so-called never-Trumpers, right? And it's not working. One other thing that they keep trying to focus on is the identity of the whistleblower. And the reality is when you listen to the testimony from people like U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, or George Kent, who also testified today, it's very clear that the whistleblower at this point is completely irrelevant, right? Because you have people who are currently working in Donald Trump's administration who are privy to the types of conversations that were happening, who know about the fact that Donald Trump withheld that military aid, hoping for an investigation to the Bidens. They're the ones who are openly like showing up to these hearings and testifying against Trump, testifying about what actually happened. That's what's relevant. Any type of attention on, oh, who's the whistleblower is just another squirrel in their bucket.
100%, whistleblower is totally irrelevant. So, I mean, what difference does it make who originally raised the flag? We have witnesses. We have witnesses galore. It doesn't matter who originally said, hey, you know what? I think that was a problem. So it's nothing but, oh yeah, it's a goddamn rat. We're gonna get the rat and we're gonna show you and it's treason and blah, 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 blah. Nothing but squirrels, man. They're screwed.
So one more clip from Taylor's testimony that I think is relevant. He answers another question from the Democratic Council, and it is about the type of precedent he has experienced as a career official within the White House. Take a look.
Ambassador Taylor, in your decades of military service and diplomatic service representing the United States around the world, have you ever seen another example of foreign aid conditioned on the personal or political interests of the President of the United States?
No, Mr. Goldman, I've not.
So we're gonna get into Trump's reaction in depth more later, but one thing he says, speaking of squirrels, is, oh, it doesn't matter, they're using television lawyers. Which
is, by the way, something he would totally do.
Well, of course, that's why he says it, because I don't even know what that means. What's a television lawyer? Is the guy Matlock?
No, Cenk, this is such classic projection, right? He's the one who floated the idea of Judge Napolitano as a Supreme Court justice.
That's right,
So,
literally a television lawyer. Although it turns out a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Because he says, oh, Trump definitely did it. So anyway, what's left there to say? Inappropriate and illegal on every count. So unless you're gonna play the 50-50 game, false equivalencies and bag full of squirrels, if we had any rational rule of law here, it'd already be over on day one. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.